What's going on, guys? Welcome to the DualShockers ShockCast episode 166. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Ryan Meisler.
Metal Gear!
And, of course, George Jimenez.
Snake! Sorry.
We all got beards today. All right, so, yeah, let's get into it. New releases, there's a shit ton of them. Ooh. George, hit us.
All right, we're going to start this strong with Tic Tac.
Come on, guys. Welcome to the DualShockers ShockCast.
Hard copy on the PC. 999, the novel. On iPhone and iPad. Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 HD Remaster.
Woo.
PlayStation 3, PlayStation Network. Ugh. Metal Gear Solid 5. Ground Zeroes. PS3, 360, PS4, Xbox One, and PlayStation Network. Ugh. Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, PS3, 360, and PC. Left Trousers, PC, PSN, and PlayStation Vita, or whatever. Danmanku Unlimited 2.
Oh shit.
SteamWorld Dig, PS4 and PlayStation Vita. Stealth Inc. Ultimate Edition, PS4. Cloud Built, PC. And at the end of the week, we've got Infamous Second Son.
Coming out on a Friday.
That's Sony's move.
Yeah, they seem to be doing that a lot lately. So yeah, as we can see, there are a ton of games. Okay, what do you pick, Ryan?
If I had a PS4, I'd go with Infamous, but I will go with Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD Remaster for Vita. Is what I'm thinking of getting. So.
Ah, nice. Any reason why the Vita over the PS3 version?
Just because it'll be easier since I commute, so it'll be nice to have something like that to commute. Since I hate playing RPGs on consoles, I hate doing it. I don't know why, but.
Okay, you prefer it on a handheld, right?
Yeah, I'm more of a handheld person. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. George, what about you?
Since I just finished Metal Gear literally 5 minutes ago, with Ground Zeroes.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the Metal Gear series, I'm one of the biggest critics. I've never been a huge fan of how the game actually physically plays. I like the games themselves, but actually playing through a Metal Gear was always kind of heartbreaking for me.
Yeah.
And,
Speaking about heartbreak, I don't know what to pick. Because on the one hand, Metal Gear seems like the easy choice, but it's only 77 minutes long. That's how long my playthrough was. So I'm going to go with Infamous. That's my pick of the week. I'm currently playing that, and yeah, you'll see what I think about it on Thursday. I can't say any more than that. Sorry, Delson Rowe.
The actual main character of the game is a commenter on our site.
Isn't that beautiful?
Let's know how good his game is.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. So, yeah, let's talk about that. How do you deal with so many games coming out? Seriously, it's just so much. And this always happens. It's we get a drought, and all of a sudden, everything comes out. So how do you guys personally deal with juggling so many games when they're released so close to each other?
Well, I think it makes sense because because the previous big, the holiday rush is kind of the big previous rush before this. Now it's March. It's been a couple of months since everyone's finished, games from over the holidays and things like that. So this is kind of the second win for a lot of, especially for the next gen stuff when you get games like Metal Gear and Infamous and all that coming out, and then Titanfall coming out last week as well. So. But yeah, I guess that's kind of how I deal with it. Is I just kind of space it out and try and finish stuff, and then save some room for the new stuff coming out as well.
Yeah. Oh, so you save it for when there's an actual drought, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, George, what about you?
Prioritize, man.
Yeah.
Budget. I sit there. Thankfully, I have a full-time job, so I can pay for games, but I can't buy every game that comes out.
Yeah.
So, I prioritize Metal Gear. I'm probably gonna buy that. I'll set aside $30 for it. And if I had a PS4, I'd probably go with Infamous Second Son. But take a game like Left Trousers that I actually really want to play, in SteamWorld Dig and Stealth Inc. I'm I'm gonna have to note these to pick these up on a Steam sale. Like Ryan said, in the summer when you have that drought when there's nothing to play, you kind of have games sitting there and add it to the backlog.
Yeah, and okay, we're obviously not, industry insiders like that, but why do you think this happens? Why do you think, out of nowhere, it's everything just comes out at a specific date? It can't be just coincidence. It happens all the time.
No, well, March is the end of the fiscal year, so this is what you want to get your stuff out. That way, you can report these crazy earnings to your investors and shareholders and stuff. So look good. So like Konami's doing this, so stockholders don't lose faith. And it's like, you should really release that Metal Gear game. It's like, well, look, we did 2 parts. Leave us the fuck alone. Here, see, look. So, yay, like
we got a Metal Gear game out. Be happy.
Yeah, not wait a year and a half.
Oh man. But yeah, the way I deal with it is, I prioritize, but I do get every. It's weird now because I don't have to pay for games anymore being on the site. But what I used to do was I just buy everything and just pick the one I want to play the most, and then move on to the next one, move on to the next one, because I couldn't just not play the games for months. I just couldn't do that. Like a squirrel, just squirrel it away for another month. I couldn't do that. I have to play them all, and then I'll be like,
we get into a habit of just kind of playing. Like I usually have to play like a handful of games at once anyway.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. That's my problem. I always have to pick one at a time. I don't know how you mentally do that. Like, how do you work with that, juggling many games? Because don't you get confused with the control schemes after a while?
No, I mean, Titanfall's a shooter, Metal Gear's a third-person action game, and then just throwing like an RPG on like the PC.
Okay, see, that makes sense. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I guess kind of like Jorge, like some I usually try and only play one game at a time, just because I feel like if I don't do that, then I tend to not finish games. But sometimes if I'm in a situation where I have to play multiple games at a time, it's kind of nice because it's kind of like a palate cleanser a little bit. So like if I'm getting sick of one game or I want to move on to something else, I can just hop on to something like that. So kind of like with when I was doing Yoshi's Island and now I'm doing Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, it was just nice to kind of have those to switch back and forth between.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm learning how to, play a little bits of each game at one time, but it's hard. I like to just focus on it because it's like watching 30 minutes of one movie and then moving on to another movie. It's like, it's weird.
And then the other annoying part is, considering what we do since we write about video games, you kind of have to, just to be in the conversation, like South Park, which I was playing a little while ago, I'm probably not going to finish it, but I needed to get enough of it under my belt to be like, all right, I need to see what everyone else is talking about.
Yeah, you've played enough of it. Now you could actually join the conversation.
Yeah, and that's another game I'll probably finish it in the summer, maybe start over. But it's just it's sitting in my Steam library, so sorry South Park.
Oh well. I actually want to go back a little bit. I'm still learning some stuff here. I want to go back to some reviews we've done. In particular, George, I want to start with you, man, because last week we talked about how you were going to the Titanfall review. You put it out there, and you got some shit.
Did I? I dropped a Titan on it. All right.
Yeah. That was amazing to me. It's like people were mad at you because you liked the game.
Yeah, the game was I knew it was gonna happen when you write about like a high profile game, especially like a literally the most anticipated title on the Xbox One. Like I knew regardless what direction I went, even if I if I hated it, I was gonna catch shit. If I liked it, I was gonna catch shit. If I was like meh about it, I was gonna catch shit. So it was just like once you come to terms with that, you're like, all right, whatever. This is what I think about the game. But I got called on. People were saying about the frame rate and the screen tearing, and I think people were making a bigger deal out of it than what it was.
Yeah, it didn't affect your playthrough.
No, I did a video of the beta where I'm playing 25 minutes of it, and if there is screen tearing, it's barely noticeable. And if there's if there is a frame rate dip, which you do see once or twice when it's like 4 Titans all putting up reactions at once, which is pretty fucking amazing. But I never had an issue where I was like, oh, I didn't get that kill because the frame rate just magically disappeared, or screen tearing. Like, nah, it doesn't bother me. I think someone watching, watching a short 3-minute video of a game, it's like, look at all that screen tearing. It's like, you know what? If you're actively looking out for that, then you can't actually enjoy anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I'm like, how many of the people that were complaining have actually played the game themselves?
No, but they know a guy, or they saw it at a Best Buy being played, and they took a video on their phone. And it's like, no, I'm like, just play the game. The whole point of the review is just like when you actually put the controls in your hand, you figure out how the wall run and all that stuff. You're like, holy shit, this is a really fun game. And
yeah, we've kind of lost that. Now people just want to talk about the controversy of games. They don't want to talk about the actual games.
Yeah, that's why I purposely left out resolution. I was like, you know what? To me, I don't care if I'm running in 790 or 1080. I was at no point where I was like, well, I can't play this anymore because it's fucking. I can only see in 1080, so anything under that unacceptable. I'm sorry. Like, no, I'm like, let's grow up a bit and sit down with the game. But yeah, it was back and forth. It was fun though, but yeah, Titanfall's a really good game. Just,
Yeah, you liked it. You know, they were like, "Oh, you were paid off."
I love that.
Yeah, that's the greatest. You were paid off.
It's not a real AAA review until you get an accusation of being on the take, which is great. And that happened to me when I did the when I did my Mass Effect 3 review years ago, or when I remember giving Resident Evil 6 a poor review, and people were like, "You're just part of the conspiracy to bring down Capcom," and I was like, "What?"
At the time, Jorge was eating Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew, so...
I was waiting for the Capcom check to clear, and it never did, so I was like, well, fuck you, Resident Evil 6, you were getting a 5 out of 10.
Oh, man, yeah, I gave that I was at a site that didn't have scores. I hate scores, by the way, but I scorched that game. I hated Resident Evil 6, and I got a lot of shit for it.
I eviscerated it, and it was one of those like, oh, but the production value, people worked really hard. I'm like, no, that's not an argument. Like, people working really hard at something is great. Like, people worked really hard on shitty movies, but it's still a shitty movie.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't use that in an argument. Let's talk about a review that didn't get as much controversy. Ryan, you reviewed Yoshi's Island.
Yes, I did. Yep, the review went up last week.
Now, I want to ask you, is it like the original Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2 from Super Nintendo?
Vaguely. I don't really remember it that well, and I only played a little bit of it. So I probably don't have as much context on like the original Yoshi's Island probably as some other people. But from what I remember, it's pretty similar. It's pretty faithful to like the original Yoshi's Island, but it also has a little bit, I think, mixed in of like Yoshi's Story, which I remember playing on N64, and that's kind of what I'm more familiar with. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And you really seem to like that game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorites.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't one of my favorite 3DS games. Just because it doesn't, not like Mario games where they tend to like they introduce new things as they go on, and they really like kind of there's always like some kind of new challenge. Where Yoshi's New Island, I didn't really get that as much. It was just kind of it just felt very samey kind of throughout the whole game. Which was just, the reason I gave it a 7 in my review, which is
a good score.
Yeah, it's totally, yeah. I mean, the way I see it was definitely a really enjoyable, solid game, not like amazing, but that doesn't mean it was terrible at all. So that's kind of how I went with my score of the game.
Awesome. And as for myself, I got 2 out so far. Yaiba, which, okay, this is a game I played at E3. I didn't like it. And I didn't like the full version either. It has everything that's wrong with hack and slash games. I'm not the biggest fan of hack and slash games because it just gets really repetitive. And then you top it off with Grindhouse. I'm not really a fan of Grindhouse because I like the individual parts of Grindhouse. I like the sex. I like the violence. I like all that shit. I don't like it all together. It just seems really cheesy, And this game was just like...
Because there's a right way to do camp. And you can clearly see when people are just like, well, this is campy, right? Just, boobs and a little film grain. That's Grindhouse, right? And it's like, no, it's not how it works. The idea of Grindhouse is it's kind of like a parody or a satire of something that's good, but no, you can't just do that. Like, you can't just have a building blow up and, you can't have a strip club blow up and have panties fly all over the place.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this game great. Like, okay, I literally said to myself, I'm like, did a 15-year-old write this? And that's weird because I'm pretty fucking immature myself. So yeah, I was like, that game didn't do it for me at all. So,
and the thing, I like the premise of Yaiba because you're a victim of Ryo
Hayabusa. Yeah,
kills you, and then you come back as a cyborg because Ryo Hayabusa is turning everyone into zombies or something.
No, the story made absolutely no fucking sense. It really didn't. But yeah, here's the other thing. The premise of the game. The premise is you're out to kill Ryo Hayabusa. You know that's not going to happen. You'll never kill him.
I'm on board. I'm on board. I like a flip like that. It's like, hey, he was a good guy, now he's a bad guy. I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, let's kill him. Great, let's do it.
Yeah, so yeah, that whole thing didn't work for me. And yeah, I reviewed Metal Gear. I really liked it. I mean, some people were complaining that it's too short. Yeah, it's an intro. It's not supposed to be long, guys. I don't see what the beef is. I was really impressed by the PS3 version of it. That's the one Konami sent me, and I'm like, wow, this Fox engine is fucking incredible. But you have to remember that that's the entire world right there. It's just this little island, and it's a short game, so you kind of had more resources to make it look that pretty. I want to know if it's going to look, the Phantom Paint's going to look that good on the last-gen consoles. That's what I want to know. That'd be very interesting if they could, keep that kind of fidelity that Ground Zeroes has. What do you think about that? You think they'll be able to pull that off?
Maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll use the cloud or cell processing. Or whatever.
Well, I was to say, weren't they concerned about the 360 version of Metal Gear Solid 4 being on like 10 discs or something like?
Yeah,
like it wouldn't be. It was like they're gonna need like 50 discs probably to store Phantom Pain on on 360. So
yeah, because it's supposed to be like an open world. So how the hell do you even do that? You know?
Yeah, I mean a lot of disc swapping. So
I mean, I'm hoping it does almost like the mission structure of like Peace Walker, where you have kind of like a hub area, and then you can send Big Boss on just various missions and. Yeah, I'd like to see how the worlds are kind of connected, where there is going to be like a lot of traveling, because we've seen the videos of on a horse and he's stealth horse riding, which is neat. But I thought Ground Zeroes was really fun. Like I just beat it, and I liked if all the missions are that approach where hey, we've got a couple of objectives, you can do them any which way you want. The checkpoint system seems to work really well because I remember. Jumping off a cliff a couple times and like fuck, and then they kind of put you in weird spots where it's like, hey, some people are knocked out, but some are awake since this last checkpoint. The helicopter stuff I love calling in helicopters.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. And
then they just come in and have Ride of Valkyries playing in the background. But yeah, I mean, I can understand someone's beef for what was it, $30. And how long take you to get through it, Tony? You said
77 minutes, which is an hour and 13 minutes.
I did mine in 54.
Wow. And I mean, there's various ways of playing it, but yeah, it's pretty short. Now, I want to bring up the controls because you talked about this, and I talked about this in my review. The controls feel dated. They really do. I don't think they are the best Metal Gear controls that have ever been.
That is a fantastic point. It is the best Metal Gear controls. Yeah. I was playing. I was like, this can't be a Metal Gear game because I can kill things. This is weird.
But the problem is, compare it to other action stealth games, the controls don't hold up as well. And I'm specifically talking about the last Splinter Cell game. That game controlled beautifully. Mm-hmm. That was how you do a stealth game. And this one, it didn't really hold up as well.
I think the Splinter Cell controls work for the character that they were going for with Sam Fisher. They were doing Sam Fisher like, he can do anything. He can jump up walls and climb all that. So you have to make the controls kind of reflect that.
Sam Fisher is a panther. There you go.
They panther in the fucking game. But I mean...
But you felt it. They felt kind of clunky,
Well, is part of that... Is part of that kind of like the Resident Evil argument, where like Resident Evil was kind of like defined by the controls? Like, yeah, the controls were crappy, but they kind of added to the tension of it. So you think it's something like that where they intentionally do it?
I'm starting to think that Resident Evil is just using it as an excuse.
I think so too. Because
when you play like 4, it's like, oh man, this is neat, but they're really just all they did was put an over-the-shoulder thing on it, but they didn't really innovate on the controls. And then 6 was even worse. So I was like, how does this happen?
Yeah, and with Metal Gear, at least the controls are getting better with each title.
Yeah, I mean, like the CQC stuff, when the close quarters combat is just one button now. It's not, you don't have to hold the trigger with the you can hold the guy here. I think the interrogation system is a lot better now. Now it's just you just hold the right trigger, and if you want him to talk, you hit up, or you want to kill him, you hit Y and you stab him in the chest. Like that worked for me. Like it felt very natural, but like you said, it's like these controls are a little dated. I mean, I do like the fact that they did the Last of Us approach to stealth, meaning you don't have to press a button to stick onto something. Snake, Snake. We're calling him Snake.
Yeah, call him
Snake, right? Yeah. I like calling him Boss, but Snake.
Boss.
But when Snake gets close enough to a corner, he just kind of puts his hand out there and kind of peeks over. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I got kind of tired of the hit triangle to stick to a wall, and to me that
we don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore.
He knows enough when he's crouched down behind something, he'll put his head down, and I was like, great, that's all I need. Thank you, Snake.
Ryan, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, see, actually, like I wasn't a big fan of that in The Last of Us, just because sometimes I felt like I didn't know whether Joel was actually in cover or not, and sometimes he would go on the wall, and then sometimes he would just kind of like crouch beside it, and so I guess I kind of missed more like that kind of Gears cover system where you tap A or triangle or whatever to go onto a cover. But I don't know. That's just me. But
I don't miss that. I like Tomb Raider does that too, where she kind of auto goes into cover. I like that.
And I thought they do this thing with the combat reflexes where if you get caught, Snake has like 2 or 3 seconds to take the guy out or punch him in the face before he completely alerts, which I was like, man, thank God for this, because I had so many of those close calls where I'm just like, I'm hiding behind something, and clearly I'm in just another guard's path, and then you you hit left trigger, he spins right around. You can dart him in the face, or at some point I just said screw it. Like I was going a very slow approach where I was just like, I'm gonna, knock out this guy and ask him, take it, give me information. Yeah, it's over there. I was like, great, thank you. Kunk. And then at some point it's kind of like a two-parter mission. When I got that first part with all the hostages, I just fuck it. Let's just find the other person and just run and gun my way out of there. And that was pretty fun. Like as a third-person shooter, Metal Gear is not that bad.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about Kiefer Sutherland as Snake?
I like him.
Yeah, with me it's weird. When I first heard about it, I was like, okay, if that works, that's cool. I like 24, that's great. I'm playing this game and I'm like, this is Jack Bauer. It's like you couldn't do another different tough guy voice, Kiefer. He was just doing.
I don't think it's his Jack Bauer voice, because when he's playing Big Boss, you can see that Big Boss he sounds very tired, which I kind of like.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but to me, he sounded like a tired Jack Bauer. That's what it sounded like to me.
Then maybe he's just kind of one note that way, but I like that. And there's some people who just get kind of a little bit too attached to voice actors, which is kind of uncomfortable for me. I don't know why. But people are like, oh, David Hayter's. I'm like, I was not a big fan of David Hayter's voice for Metal.
Why not?
It's dumb. It's this voice. It's the Bliskin voice. That's not I don't care. I don't think it fit Boss. Considering Boss is just another character. Boss is a different character entirely than Solid Snake. But no, I like the Kiefer Sutherland voice.
I want to mention that I like it. I just need to get used to it. That's all. I actually think he does a really good job of it. Yeah,
and he did the facial capture. So at some point you're like, that's Kiefer Sutherland's face. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's just Kiefer with a beard. But I like it. He just he sounds like kind of like a harmless, tired old man who can kill everyone in the room if he needed to.
It's a great way of describing him. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's the game I'm going to go back to. Once I finish up reviewing Infamous. I can't talk about that anymore, but you'll see. I'll move on to the next thing right now.
Well, actually, do you want to bring up the point about the? Because I guess the biggest bone of contention here is the length of the game.
Oh yeah. What
I said, as I paid $30 for it. I beat it in an hour. I beat it in short of an hour. I can see why someone would be upset.
But if they play it once, that's the thing. How many people are going to do that? You're going to replay it over and over again.
Well, yeah,
there's 5 missions.
Doing a bunch of side missions would take you back in the map during the day, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. But I think in reality, most people just are like, no, I just want to play through this story stuff. And if that's the case, I would This is a great game, and you should play it. But if that price just seems like, if you're that person who just like, I just want to play through the story and see what the hell is going on, then I would wait for a couple of used copies. I mean, look, the Phantom Pain's not coming out till way late next year, so
yeah, who knows? If then,
you can wait as long as possible. Get it a month before the game before Phantom Pain comes out, just so you're all caught up. You really need to play this game if you plan on picking up Phantom Pain, because there's some stuff that carries over into the following game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny seeing doesn't it have downloadable content and stuff that or bonuses that unlock for Phantom Pain if you play it? Or I was gonna say it's okay, so you can unlock this stuff 2 years from now when you get the full game. So.
Yeah, that's assuming you don't switch systems or your Xbox PS4 don't crap out and
that's true too.
I gotta get my save. I gotta play this all over again.
Yeah.
But I mean, at no point there's no gun to your head, so you don't have to buy this. I think
you don't need to buy it, people. Seriously.
And I think that's always been my biggest that's my response to that is because Hideo Kojima does not have a knife to your throat. He's not saying give me $30. Yeah, it's no, you can if you want to stick it to him, pick it up used. If you really want to vote with your dollars, make sure Konami doesn't get anything and pick it up used. But it's entirely up to you. I mean. For me, $30 isn't that much, but I understand someone, if you're a 15-year-old kid or a guy with a part-time job or something, you can only buy one game a month, and, you really do like stretching out your games, and, yeah, I can see you might have a valid point, but you know what, you can just wait, I would wait on it, wait for one of those crazy Best Buy sales or GameStop or something.
Yeah, one of those. And here's the thing, we talked about this before on the show, this thing doesn't have a platinum trophy, which leads me to believe it's going to get connected with the Phantom Pain. What do you think about that? If that happens, basically you get one game where it has everything.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down with it, but some people are
It
like, I bought this game and now I gotta buy it again. What the fuck?
We can't. I mean, we just can't avoid it. Where it is a prologue. Like
It is, yeah.
It does seem like the tanker mission in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, it does. Or
Which is fine, but that's kind of got a part of me worried. I'm like, this could have easily just been the full game. And is this like we mentioned earlier, is this a end of fiscal year? We couldn't release a Metal Gear Solid game. Let's see if we can do anything with the Phantom Pain, and I feel like this is more Hideo Kojima doing something to like help out his publisher.
It could be. Who knows?
Him doing a solid because I would prefer if it were up to me, I'd rather just wait and get all this at once. Because can you imagine playing that beginning part, like getting the Phantom Pain, and this is how you start the game? You do this open base mission, and then opening credits, blah blah blah, and bam, you're into the Phantom. Like that is the great. Like it's a great setup.
Yeah, dude, I was ready. I'm like, let's fucking do this. Oh, it's over. I was ready, man.
Yeah, it's 2015. Like, God fucking.
Like, oh man, I was ready for it. I need to give a shout out to my friend Malik Forte. In his review of the game, he says that playing this game gave him such blue balls. He was just ready for it, man. But I liked it. Oh, what system did you play it on?
I played on Xbox One. Looks great. When it rains, it's really cool. Like when you see just kind of like how it just kind of washes over the sneaking suit and little footprints, and it's really neat. And they got some really nice lighting effects in there, especially with the spotlight. But yeah, I mean, if you have an opportunity to pick it up on a next-gen system, pick it up on a next-gen system because it looks phenomenal.
60 frames a second.
That's a lot of frames.
Yeah, like I said, I played on PS3, but I do have my copy of the PS4. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go to it and. Oh man, I can't.
Yeah, it looks like it holds up on regardless of what console you get.
Yeah, I was amazed. Like you were talking about the rain looked amazing, even on the PS3. I'm like, wow, look at the puddles, look at all this shit. This is fucking cool.
Yeah, it kind of sounds a lot like how how Assassin's Creed 4 came out, where it's just like, yeah, the next gen system just does a little bit more dynamic weather and lighting, and it just looks overall nicer, but it's already a good looking game. Yeah,
exactly. Fox Engine is really fucking nice. I'm very impressed by it. So yeah, let's move on to the next thing. Basically, oh wow, I actually just had a brain fart, but I have notes. Basically, so we're talking about these next gen games. What makes a game like a system selling game to you? And do you think that actually exists? Personally, I would not buy a system for one game. It seems odd. Like I know some people do that. So have either of you ever bought a system for one specific game?
Yes.
All right. Which one? Okay.
I mean, like, I've actually done it like pretty much multiple times. Usually I get consoles like for a bunch of different games, but sometimes there is like one specific game I want to get. I did that recently with my PS3, which I got 2 years ago. I got it for The Last of Us. That was my main motivation for buying it, but I also figured that I could also get it for the backlog of PS3 games I hadn't played yet, like Uncharted and a lot of those Infamous, like those types of games. But yeah, I mean, I do, even in the past, like stuff like Smash Brothers on Wii and GameCube. I'm a big Smash Brothers fan, so that's a given. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think there are system sellers. Like even though I don't have a PS4 yet, I'm still considering it for Infamous. That's one of the big games on my radar. So.
I remember picking up my PS3 way late in its console life. Not way late, but I actually picked it up for I think Metal Gear Solid 4 when it came out. Cause I had I had zero interest in anything that PS3 had because I just had a lot of multi-platform stuff. I wasn't really that keen on Uncharted just yet. Like I knew of its existence. I had a couple of like really neat JRPGs that I was kind of curious about. But there was nothing that really drove it to me, and I think it was one of those things where I saw trailers from Metal Gear Solid, I'm like, oh, this looks really cool, and I would justify that, couple $100 purchase for a new console, and then you also have that backlog, like what Ryan mentioned. You just kind of have a few years of like you already know what's really good out there, so I don't have to like wait around for anything that's halfway. Yeah. Like I know when I can pick this game up, I know there's about another half dozen to a dozen games that I have to play on this system, which is great. But I admit, I like when my original Xbox, I picked it up for. I was a big first-person shooter fan, so I love the fact that you could play Halo. So day one, that was a purchase for me. Was the original Xbox. And I don't think I picked up my 360 until Elder Scrolls, maybe.
Oh wow.
Oblivion.
Yeah. Yeah, my PS3 I didn't get until 2 years ago, and at that point there were a lot of those like greatest hits collections, or the where it was like like the Infamous collection and God of War. So I picked it up pretty much at like the perfect time, because then I can go back and play all these games and get them for pretty relatively cheap. So
That was fun. Oh man, when that was like that I got a War Party too. I was just like, whatever.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I actually.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say no. I remember shortly after I bought my PS3, I got the God of War and Infamous collections, and that was right around when Sandy hit, and I had a week off of work, so I pretty much just like stayed home playing through those. So it was great.
Yeah, actually, with me, I should add that like it always needs to be at least. There's some games in the horizon, and I said this in my review of Metal Gear. Metal Gear was always the catalyst. It's like I'll wait until a Metal Gear game comes out. But by that point, there's already a bunch of games out anyway. Then I'll pick up the system. That's how I got the PS2, PS3, and PS4. I bought it because I'm a game journalist kind of guy. So, but yeah, the whole thing is like I'm buying it for this sole game and nothing else. That is weird, and I guess you guys don't really do that either, because you already know it's like, okay, this game's getting me to buy a system, but I know there's other stuff to play for it too. The whole thing of like, I'm buying it for this game and that's it. I don't care about anything else.
Well, you got to think about it like other people's gaming habits who say aren't games journalists, or we just by nature we just have to play everything. There are some people that will play they're like, you know what, this is my game. This is the game I will play all year. Like, the Halos, the Gears, the Call of Duties, there's people who wait around to get MLB The Show. Like, it's a
But even
game.
before I got into this stuff, I couldn't just play one game for an entire year, except for X-Men vs. Street Fighter, because the Sega Saturn died and there was no Dreamcast. So I had I'm like, I'm just gonna play this fucking game.
Think of the casuals. Like, that's they only have time for one. They only have time for one game. For one game for a very long time. That's really all they need.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like those Call of Duty guys. You've seen that on your friends list, right? One guy, he plays Modern Warfare 3 the entire year. Then he plays Black Ops the entire year. Then he plays a follow-up for the entire year. It's like, dude, there's other games out there, man. What the fuck?
Or you get people who are just diehard sports fans. Like, they'll play FIFA, Madden, NHL, and that's it. Like, they don't even care about anything else that comes on the system.
It's amazing, Ryan.
I was gonna say like Jorge used both those examples. I was gonna say so you might get the people that only buy like 2 games a year, and they might just buy like Call of Duty and Madden, and then that's all they need for pretty much an entire year until the next one comes out. So.
So I can see that with someone with like Infamous Second Son, where it's like, hey, I really like the first 2 Infamouses. This is gonna be my game for I only have an hour a night to devote to gaming, so Infamous is gonna be the game that stretches out a whole season of gameplay for me.
If you see it that way, that actually makes sense. Yeah. Definitely. And do you think? Actually, no. We'll talk about Infamous being a system seller. What about Titanfall? Do you think that's a system seller?
I think so. I mean, if you're a first-person shooter fan, and I always thought the Xbox, Xbox 360, I thought those were going to be first-person shooter systems, because that seems to be just by nature. I just guess the DualShock control pad never suited itself well for a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Just because it had the funny triggers. Thankfully, the PS4's changed that, so it's got like kind of those elongated triggers now, which my God, makes playing any shooter on that 10 times better. But I think just by its nature, I thought the Xbox controller was just better for shooters, and that's kind of where people kind of gravitated to, because you look at the Call of Duty numbers, more copies will always sell on an Xbox system than a PS4 for that franchise, and I think it just comes down to a controller preference there.
Well, there's also, I think, too, the Xbox Live versus PSN as well.
It's better network and just better infrastructure.
Right. I mean, that might have changed now, since it seems like PSN is a little bit more stable and better on the PS4 this time around. But there's that too. I mean, yeah. PlayStation Network has to go a long way for me, because I like PlayStation Plus, which is on the PlayStation Network, which is great. But PSN itself.
But the actual PSN itself, yeah.
PSN is garbage. But the thing is, it's free, so you kind of get what you pay for. So it's like, hey, we're gonna take down a service for like 3 days. Too fucking bad. It's free, so stop bitching. Like,
yeah, you can't complain about free. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why when the Microsoft server goes down, it's down. If it's down for a while, it's only down for a couple of hours, because they know the crap they're gonna catch from people. It's like, I pay $6 a year. This should work all the time. It's like,
I pay for this shit. God damn it.
It's not real. That's not reality, guys. But whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Things just break down, people. That's just how it is. All right, so let's move on over to some news. Have either of you guys been keeping up with GDC? Because I've been so swamped with games, I don't know a damn thing. So if you could fill us in on GDC, go ahead, please.
GDC is happening. It's right now in San Francisco.
Anything noteworthy? Yeah. Is that it? Has nothing happened?
I've only been hearing little bits and pieces, nothing like specifically. But GDC is running all this week. It started yesterday. I think it's running until Friday in San Francisco. But yeah, I don't know specifically.
It's a good event for. It's more for you get really good quotes from game developers. It's not really it's not like an E3 or a PAX where it's just a bunch of reveals. It's you get a lot of people doing postmortems on their games. It's like, hey, we're Call of Duty guys. This is what we could have done differently for this game. Or you get a lot of good conversation starters there. Just people just having kind of like bright ideas and just a lot of talks, a lot of panels, which is really neat. But yeah, you're not there for like the newest, Last of Us trailer. Like that doesn't happen at GDC.
Yeah. I think it definitely seemed more like kind of an intimate sort of event, especially with like indie developers. Because there's a story I was reading this morning about Celador Games, the guys who developed Rogue Legacy. They were kind of doing like a postmortem about Rogue Legacy and how they said that the game basically recouped all of its production costs in an hour once it was up on Steam.
Wow.
And then it sold, I believe, almost 100,000 copies or around there since it launched. So so I mean, GDC can give you that kind of stuff, or it can give you more kind of behind the scenes looks at games that are either coming out or have already been out for a year or so.
Yeah, you get those really interesting stories just because they're not kind of buried under just like new game, screenshots, new game. It's like no, it's not. But this is more about the game creators and like their process, which is super fascinating. So if you get a chance to kind of like, they've got streams going on all over the place. Sony's got a stream that I think either went up or is going to go up. You should probably check out because it's like it's a bunch of smart people talking about how they make games, which is always neat. It should kind of give you a perspective on things, which is always good because it's kind of neat to know something about You're playing a video game and it's kind of curious. I'm like, oh, what were they thinking when they did this? Or it's like they should have made this guy red. It's like no, there's a reason for that. He probably has an explanation. GDC's for that.
Yeah, I'm just imagining like TED Talks. That's what GDC pretty much is.
In a way, it kind of sounds like that. I guess
yeah.
It's less one guy standing in a stage.
Yeah.
Dialogue, but that would be great though.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I had to throw this in here because there's another one. I'm like, what the hell is? So they're making a live-action Street Fighter series. What's that all about?
Oh, I put that up. That's Machinima was doing. It was a fan. It started off almost like the same way Mortal Kombat Legacy did. A fan did a thing, and then Machinima picked it up and says, "You should turn this into a web series," and then they did. You kind of get the origin story of Ken, Ryu, Goken. What is it? Goken? I forget.
It's Akuma.
Goken and Akuma.
Yeah.
Goken and Akuma.
Gauki is Akuma. Goken is they're master.
They don't like each other, and you figure out why Akuma becomes evil and how Ryu got his headband. Same story we heard already, but I watch it. I'm a sucker for fan films, so I haven't seen a new season of Mortal Kombat Legacy, but I'm gonna wait. I think they're all over, so I'm just gonna binge watch it all at once. But,
I like Mortal Kombat Legacy. Remember the pilot for it where it was like the how Marvel has Ultimate version, like it seemed like the Ultimate version of Mortal Kombat where they redid everything.
Michael Jai White is Jax, which is fucking he's Captain Jackson, but his name fell off his thing, so it just says Jax, and I was like, they did it, that's awesome.
Yeah, like the pilot was great, and then like the actual series seemed to be more in line with the video games. I mean, I kind of wanted them to stick with that alternate version of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, like that gritty, almost realistic, where Baraka wasn't a monster, he was
he was like a serial killer or something.
He was a guy. He was like a plastic surgeon obsessed with like self-mutilation. So he gave himself blades and bumps on his face, and kills Johnny Cage, which is great because I'm always a fan of that. I don't know why I don't like Johnny Cage. I just like when he gets killed and stuff. Because he does get killed in everything, I think.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, I was like, damn, why couldn't you do that? So like they had like a Katana and Melina thing where it's animated, and I was like, what's going on? You couldn't like do like a realistic version of that stuff?
I just think it was it was a teaser. It was kind of like a sizzle reel where it's like I don't think they knew what they were going to do with that anyway.
Yeah, I probably didn't.
And then I think it was like, hey, if you wanted to make this more in line with Mortal Kombat, you should probably make this a somewhat like official or somewhat canon to the story. Because what they did was it just kind of did like an Elseworld story of Mortal Kombat, which is always good. But it's like if you want to attract the Mortal Kombat purist, he's going to be like, Jax wasn't a fucking cop. What is this like? Like, you know, and then that's when you kind of have to play too. Like, no, you kind of should respect the continuity to a certain point. And I don't know, I thought they did. My favorite was that Raiden one where he woke up in a mental hospital, and they kept sedating him so he couldn't use his lightning powers.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm a thunder god. He goes, you're fucking crazy, and they just kept keeping him under, which was always good. Like,
that's very reminiscent of Thor from the Ultimates. They thought he was just some crazy guy. But yeah, that's pretty. I saw, I'm like, okay, so this is going to be more like canon, right? It's going to stick more closer to the story.
That's what it looks like, and whatever. It's going to be dudes spin kicking each other and throwing Hadouken, so that's fine as long as they keep that. it's the story's based off a fighting game with a very loose story anyway, so it's like the background was told in between, like when someone beat you. It's like, oh, I should train harder in the mountains. Like that's his backstory. Like holy shit.
Yeah, that's the whole story right there, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and I got to bring this up. It's the mass exodus where everyone seems to be leaving now. So we got 3 people. We got first is Koji Igarashi. He was the producer of the last bunch of Castlevania games. He first started on Symphony of the Night, the classic game. He left and he wants to start a new studio and he wants to make games that fans expect of him. So what are the chances this is going to be a Mighty Number 9 situation? And you know what I'm talking about. He's going to make a Castlevania game that's Castlevania and everything but name. I really expect that to happen.
Castleville, and then that's it. Like,
who knows, man? But I'm down with it, man, because we haven't had a good Castlevania game in a long fucking time. Sorry, Lords of Shadow didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I did see a funny tweet saying that he should go and work on Metroid. You know, Nintendo just give him the keys to Metroid and just let him work on that. So.
Yeah, there were some big. I don't know. I guess it's one of the things when you're at a company for so long, you're just kind of like, I want to do my own thing, or maybe you just don't like the general direction of creatively where things are going, and it's just like, I don't think there's any ill will, but it was just like I think some people at somewhere just want to do their own thing, like or take Inafune, who's just frustrated with Capcom. Yeah. Just said I want to go and make the game I want to make, and they won't let me. So good for him. I hope he finds something. I hope he makes something cool. He'll probably do like a Kickstarter or something for.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
And I'm looking forward. Someone like him, they'll get it in like 20 minutes and they'll hit their goal, and becomes a game of like just how much money will they get.
Pretty much. Next up is Mark Whitten from Microsoft. We've seen him at E3s, presenting. He left. He was with them for 14 years, so that's pretty interesting. I wonder what he's going to do now. I always wonder why do these big executive guys leave when a system launches? Like we had Jack Tretton, he left a couple weeks ago, and now Mark Whitten. It's interesting. What's your take on that?
It's an achievement. It's like you can take that to be the last. He goes, yeah, I launched the Xbox One. And we sold 3-4 million of these things, which is not selling 3-4 million of any hardware is not something to laugh at.
Yeah.
He can take that someplace and be like, yeah, I launched this thing. Give me money.
Jorge, when you said it was an achievement, I was waiting for an achievement unlock joke at
that
some
would
point.
Be awesome.
It was it's what I thought you were going for. So.
But yeah, and a lot of these times, just it could be a contractual thing too. Just be like,
yeah, it could be. It probably was a contract.
It goes, I don't feel like renewing, but it's one of those things you kind of want to leave on top, or when things are kind of in the positives for you, as opposed to down here.
Yeah, despite what gamers say, the Xbox One is doing very, very well. So yeah, he probably wanted to leave on a high note.
And it's gaining ground, and it's going to be launching in the rest of the world. I think they're launching a new region soon, like Japan and some other.
Yeah, they announced 26 regions, so that's pretty damn good,
So, like I said, you just something nice to have on the resume.
Exactly. And the last one, this just happened like an hour ago. Stig Asmussen, he worked on the God of War games. He was the producer of God of War 3. He's left Sony Santa Monica. He's always interesting.
He's always in those commercials for that school that teaches you about.
Yeah, that's him.
I forget. He's just walking backwards, and it's like, I made God of War, and then that was it. God of War was the only game I think he worked on, though, right?
I think or
at least that was
quote me on that. That's his notable game. That's the notable series that he worked on. And every game, he in the first one he was just an art designer. Then the next one he was the art director, and then he was the director. So he kept moving up. So and apparently he's he's looking for other studios to join. So we're gonna see him soon. So that's pretty interesting.
That was good. If you have God of War 3, there's a really good kind of documentary in that game.
Yes.
About him, just how he what it took to make God of War 3, because remember, God of War 3 was kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that game was huge, and there's a great scene with him getting into like an argument with like, is it Malcolm McDowell who did one of the voices for? He was the voice of Hephaestus, I think, and they were telling him to read a line, and then I was like, oh, can you do it again? He's like, why? He goes, oh no, for safety. What? You guys couldn't get it right the first time? And he just was being an absolute dick, and you can see Stick freaking out because he was like nerdgasming that like, oh man, Malcolm McDowell's here, and he's yelling at him. Oh, Terrence Stamp, that's who was there.
Terrence Stamp, yeah. Zod, the original Zod.
Yeah, he was there, and he was giving him crap. Like, holy shit, like. I can't. Like I would have been cool. Like I would love to have Terrence Stamp yell at me.
That would be awesome. That would be like you could just kill yourself after that. That would be great. Yeah.
But he did not want to read his line, and he only had like 3 or 4 lines in the fucking game, and I was like, you could stay for an extra 5 minutes. Come on, like you're probably making like $200,000 on this little session. Come on.
It's like what else are you doing? Seriously.
The plate's not full, Zod. All right.
Oh man. All right, so that's all the news that I want to talk about. So let's wrap it up with what we've been playing. I think we already talked about what we've been playing, but we got to do it. Ryan, what have you been playing?
So yeah, I reviewed Yoshi's New Island last week, which the review went up. Right now, I am reviewing Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. So the review for that will be going up later this week. Surprisingly, very, very fun. I really liked it a lot. And for fun, I'm playing Gravity Rush on Vita. I'm finally getting around to that.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good game. I like that one.
Yeah. I'm really liking it. It's tough because of all the I've got my Vita pretty recently, so I've only been playing like a handful of games on it. But that's one of the ones I feel like so far has really been feels like a Vita game. It really takes advantage of the system.
Controls and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was basically that and Tearaway were probably my 2 favorites that I've played on it so far.
Yeah, I gotta play Tearaway. I want to play that one, but
Tearaway is great, and you can probably get it pretty cheap now at this point. So.
Nice. George, what are you playing?
I guess I finished playing Metal Gear, so I'm not gonna go back to that anymore. I guess.
There's other missions, man.
Done. Just whatever.
That's it. It's 54 minutes. I'm done.
1 hour, $30. What the fuck? Internet, go. What else am I doing? But yeah, Metal Gear. I'm probably gonna go back and play a couple of missions because the game itself is fun and it's a Metal Gear that controls well, which is weird because Metal Gears aren't supposed to control well because they're awful. But
Oh man!
And I love that. I love that franchise. I will play the hell out of every Metal Gear game and just hate play it because I'm like, oh, I want to do the cool thing he did in the cutscene, but I can't because Snake can't hold a gun with a knife over here because you'll slit it.
Oh, that's the same dilemma I had with Devil May Cry 3. It's like, how come he does all this cool shit in the cinema and I can't do it in the game? I suck in the game. This guy's awesome in the cinemas. I want to be that guy. As for me, yeah, right now it's all about fucking Infamous. I'm trying to get that, review done. I will do it. I'm pretty close to the end. Embargo, I can't say what I think of the game. I'll just say thumbs up. That's all. That's all you get. There you go, Delson. I gave you something, buddy.
That sounds like an opinion.
Yeah.
Embargo broken. Sony police will knock down your
door. Oh, no.
Black bag you and take you away.
But and yeah, last night I played Metal Gear, which that was a really good game. I really enjoyed. Like I said, when I finished Infamous, I'm going right to Metal Gear. I want to get everything. I want to get all those trophies. I'm cleaning house, man.
Of what's to come for Metal Gear.
Exactly.
No, it's a year from now. I really wanted. They should have done this at least a couple of months before the game came out, and really.
I agree.
I think would have made more. It would have made more sense. Because
wouldn't it have been cool if it was coming out in November of this year? Like you get it on in March, get the summer, and then bam, there's your game. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, I know. It sucks.
That game will come out when it comes out.
5 years later.
Oh man.
It'll probably be the game I use as kind of like motivation to pick up a PS4 because I feel like Metal Gear has always been the catalyst. Like you mentioned, Metal Gear is the catalyst for just picking up a new system. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see indeed. And there's a bunch of shit I want to play, but I'm not playing right now. But man, it sucks having all these games and not being able to play them all. I want the hyperbolic chamber from Dragon Ball Z and just stay in there for a year. And just play a bunch of shit. Only 2 days would have passed in the real world. That would be awesome.
Yeah, because the Love Browser is insanely fun. There's a free version that they have on their browser on their website. It's amazing. It's a little dogfighting and little silhouettes, and it's got really good music. But I'm not gonna play it. As great as that game is, it's a shame.
Oh man! All right, guys. So that's it. Thank you for listening to DualShockers ShockCast episode 166. Once again, I was your host Tony Polanco, and I was joined by Ryan Meitzler.
Thank you for watching, and my love for all of you is as long as Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
Oh, man. And, of course, George Jimenez.
I'm gonna give it to Ryan. That was good. I like it.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah,
He had the props ready, and it was topical. He said,
I had to look the part while I was doing it. So, you know.
That's awesome. All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week. Peace out.
Bye.